Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brianna Ojard, and I'd like to thank you for joining us for today's workshop, where we're going to take a look at using the Duplicate Wizard in Infor CRM version 8 and up. Your presenter today is Dale Richter, and I just want to mention a couple things before we get started. You will have noticed that your line is placed on mute. However, we do encourage you to post any questions you may have to the question pane. And at the conclusion of today's workshop, we will try to get to those, but most likely we will follow up with you via email to answer any questions that may pop up. So I'm going to turn it over to Dale and we can get started. Dale?
Thank you, Brianna. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll be taking a look at the Duplicate Wizard. Now, I've logged into my test system here, and I'm running, I believe, version 8.3.9 or 8.3.10 actually. And so I've logged in as the administrator. You're probably not going to have these options if you're not the administrator. So under the Tools menu, I have the options for Check for Duplicate, Process Duplicates, and my duplicate job history. So if I went into the Check for Duplicates here, that brings me to this first screen here where I can select a source. And in the source, you can choose to look for duplicates in either accounts, contacts, or in leads. So if I just click on account here, and then the next screen is going to be the search options. The group I'm looking at for this one is active campaigns. Just because it's a smaller group, you could probably look at all accounts or whatever account group that you have out there. They would all be listed here. I'll leave it on active campaigns for my test one here. Then if I click on next, you'll see it brings me to the search options. So I'm looking for the type of account and what am I going to match on? I'm going to match on the account and company name, and they have it by default set to web address. But I could also be matching on the main phone, on the industry, the state, the postal code, whatever of these other fields you'd wish to choose to look for matches on. I'm just going to leave it with the company name and the web address. Then I can look at the advanced options here. In the advanced options, this is telling me what do I consider a duplicate. You know, if 100%, and you say 100% here, that means 100% of the criteria you set back here. If 100% of that matches, it's a duplicate. It's a possible match if only 80% of that. So when we only have two fields here, that means if one of the fields matches, it'll still come up as a possible duplicate. And then not a duplicate from 0 to 79%. There's some other options here. Use stemming, use phonetic words that sound similar, the synonyms, and it says use the thesauruses to find synonyms, or the fuzzy matches here. The fuzziness level that is marked below here, that just means how many characters could be different in the account name and you'd still consider it a match. For example, if you had Anderson, S-E-N, and Anderson, S-O-N, that's only one character difference. So using this criteria right here, that would still show up as a match. So and you can set that fuzziness level however high you want to set it. So then if I click on OK there, that sets my advanced matching options. Brings me back to the main screen here. So now when I click on next, it's going to bring me to the review screen. So now I'm on the review screen. So check your criteria. We're doing a duplicate job on accounts. The entity source is going to be accounts, and the group name we're looking at is active campaigns. So just kind of a double check for you here on this screen. And then lastly, you can submit your request. Now, I'm not going to submit this one because I already ran it and it does take a little bit to run, but if I go to my tools and duplicate job history, it's going to show that job that I ran and I can open that. So this is the same thing it would come up with if I had ran the job. It just takes a little bit longer to do so. So here it's showing me my job now, and it shows me all the possible duplicates that it came up with. So once I run that job, I don't have to go and complete it right away. I can always come back to this duplicates history and resolve these issues later on. So the first one here it searched the record, found Abbott worldwide. So if we click on resolve there, here's what it found. It found these fields: account, main phone, toll-free, industry, and here's the values they found. And it found this record here, Abbott Limited. So it's asking us here, is this a match? Should they be merged together? Or we can say it's not a duplicate, let's move on. So if I click on merge, now it's going to show me. It's going to show me, okay, here's the source. It was Abbott Worldwide, and here's the target. So it's going to merge into this target. What do we want to keep? Do we want to keep the division of global headquarters? We could keep that. If we wanted to keep this fax number, we could keep that. So you're choosing which fields here that you wanted to keep. But it's going to end up in this record here, the target record. So if I click on next again, now it's going to show addresses that we can link. So if we link the addresses, that means it'll put both addresses underneath the one account. So if I select this one and select that one and link them, now those records will be merged into the one record, into the target account. Click on next again here. Here's contacts. So we can select which contacts. Let's select this one and link it over here to this one. Select this one, link it to that one. So those you're saying they're linked to the same context, so the same person and from one to the. If you don't link them, they'll come over as they were. So let's unlink these ones. So we've got Pete and Jonathan here, and we have 3 that exist there already. So I'm just going to click on next. And we end up with our Abbott Limited. Let's open that one up. So our Abbott Worldwide is now gone. It's a merged record. We end up with Abbott Limited. If we can get it to open here. Come on. Let me just go back. Let's try opening it again. There we go. Finally. So here's our contacts. Here's our Jonathan Hardy, and here's Pete also that came across and added to that record. So it didn't merge them in because I didn't link them. It just brought them in as separate contacts. So then once I have that merged together, I would just go back in here to my tools, import history again. Oh, I'm sorry, not my import history, my duplicate job history. Said the wrong one there. It's like, where'd my history go? Here it is. Okay. So it shows those 2 merged. I can go down, there's Abbott. Let's go down to the third one here, Apex. So here it found Alex that was different than Apex, but there's only one character difference. So that's where our fuzziness level came in. It's still considered that a duplicate. So if that's not actually a duplicate, we just go not a duplicate and move on. So there it marked it as not a duplicate. We can go down to this next one, Coca-Cola. It found a couple different others. Here it looks like a different NZ. I don't know what that is, but New Zealand maybe. A couple different areas, so maybe they're not. Or maybe this second one is, so we could choose to merge the second one, leave the first one. What fields are we going to choose again with the target? Or are we going to leave them all as target? We can go to next. If we don't link the addresses, it'll come up as separate addresses. So they have one address there now. They got this circular and the box off, or the box there, post office box. I won't link the contacts. And merge it. We'd have to look up Coca-Cola here. And which one did it merge into? I didn't watch closely enough. Here it is here. So I'm looking at the addresses here. So I found the one that we merged into that ended up with the three addresses, the post office box, the circular drive, and the Marquarrie drive also. So again, because we didn't link them, they all came across, it didn't merge one into the other. Same thing with the contacts. Any contacts that were in the other account merged into this one account. Let's go back to our duplicate job history again. And there it shows that as merged. So that's what you would do with each one of these, is go through and resolve them as to whether they're duplicates or not duplicates. And it puts the resolve status in here as you make it through. So once you did this one job, then you would always have this in your job history that you could always come back and look at. Again, I got to these tools by being logged in as the administrator. You could also have them as an end user, but you'd probably have to have the administrator give you access to these menu items so that you could access the duplicate history to check for duplicates. So the first thing you do is go to your tools, check for duplicates, run through your little wizard here, the 4 little steps as to what you're checking for duplicates, either accounts, contacts, or leads. Set up your search options, review that, and then process the request. Now, I've only got about 1,000 people in this database. It took probably 5 minutes for the duplicate wizard to run through. So keep in mind that is going to take some time to run once you process your request. And then you can go back later and go to your tools, duplicate job history, and actually process any records that are marked as duplicates and either resolve them as a duplicate or merge them together or not a duplicate. So that's it, pretty simple. Running the duplicate wizard within signed in as the administrator, or if you have access rights to the tools menu where you have the process duplicate records. If you've got any questions on this webinar or other webinars, certainly let us know. We'd be happy to answer those for you. If you've got any suggestions for other webinars, we'd also like to hear those. I want to thank you all for coming this afternoon and have a great day.